What's up, everybody? I want to talk about the first of the three types of torts, the intentional torts. Uh, Go through a couple things with intentional torts. As we said the other day, an intentional tort is an action that's taken to deliberately hurt a person or their property. Um, and we'll look at the different types of these as we go. There are quite a few. First of all, there's torts that injure persons. This is, as you can see, when a person causes harmful or offensive contact to another person. Um, Important question down there at the bottom: what constitutes this harmful or offensive contact? Could this be just intimidating behavior, where you're threatening somebody? It definitely can. Along the same lines as assault, this is when somebody makes somebody fear an immediate harmful or offensive contact. And we've all been pretty familiar with the idea of assault. The part of this that gets a little more tricky, and we alluded to this in class on Friday, is infliction of emotional distress. Um, Using words that are meant to cause extreme anxiety or emotional distress. So this is kind of where bullying comes in. Again, as I described on Friday, this is more than just insulting somebody. Calling somebody fat or stupid or something like that. While that's a negative behavior, it's not inflicting emotional distress. If you do it over a pattern of time, and it causes this person to have um, you know physical side effects from this, or mental side effects. This is where the idea of suing somebody because somebody committed suicide, where that comes in as well. Um, this can take place. Another one is false imprisonment. This is a little tricky. You can't sue the police because they put you in jail. You can sue them if they put you in jail and don't charge you with a crime, or they know that you're innocent and they put you in jail. If they pick you up for a crime and later find that you're not guilty, that is not false imprisonment. You can't sue them for that. Defamation is a big one too. It deals with attacking people's character, and the two types of defamation are libel and slander. You can see one is the written word and one is the spoken word. So if I write something malicious about you, or I write something malicious about, or I say something malicious about you, that's what we're dealing with here with defamation. Before we get to that, just one more thing with this. Um, so, libel and slander, the big thing here is there has to be some kind of loss. If I said that you were stealing in your job and you weren't, and you lost your job, you could possibly sue me for slander. There has to be some kind of inherent loss here. Just saying something negative about someone often isn't enough. The other part of this is torts that harm property. And you can see there are two different ways. If somebody's interfering with the use of your property, in other words, what happens here a lot is if you're my neighbor and my house is close to yours, and I have big floodlights in my yard, and you can't sleep because of that. That would be what number one is about. And then the second one is protecting against the property being taken or damaged. And there's definitely a farming element here. If somebody runs through your field or runs through your fence or something like that, that's what we're talking about here with number two. There are different kinds of property. All right. And you can see real property would be things like houses and crops. personal property, or your kind of like your belongings. And then the third one, which is kind of the most complicated one, is intellectual property. And this is something that you create. So if you're a musician, if you're an inventor, these are the types of things that are intellectual property. And there's been a lot of stuff with this, with music and how it's downloaded. So if you would be sued for an intentional tort, there's a couple different defenses that you might use if you're the defendant in these cases. The first one would be consent, and that's a situation where the plaintiff may have agreed to that harmful conduct that's taking place. The second one is privilege, where the defendant or the public's interests require action. Um, the third one is self defense, which is pretty self explanatory. Um, and the fourth one is defense of property. Again, we can use reasonable force to defend our homes and families. So that's all. Hope everybody has a great day, and I will see you tomorrow.